Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's coaching webinar. Of course, this is Tim Mai, and I think I'm on my own today. I don't see John or Ron on the line, at least not yet. Anyways, so I'll just get started, and we'll have some fun for today. All right. Today we're going to talk about the other types of marketing to find sellers, besides what you have learned so far. Okay. Last week we talked a lot about bulk REOs, how to find bulk REOs, and how to contact asset managers and banks for bulk REO. And so if you haven't watched that, make sure you visit this link here to watch the replay of that. dodeals.com/FTFC replay, dodeals.com/FTFC replay. So get access to that, okay? And this is supposed to be the last week of this training. However, we're going to do a bonus week next week after Christmas on December 28th, I believe, on how to find buyers. So next week we're going to focus on buyers, okay? So for this week, we'll continue to focus on sellers this week. And yeah, so let's get started. Today we're going to talk about broadcast media, or at least the beginning part of it. We'll talk about broadcast media. Broadcast media is is things that you advertise and it just goes out there. Broadcast out there. It's not targeted, like you're not going after a specific list or a specific type of seller, okay? Things like TV, radio, billboards, okay, or even yellow pages, newspaper ads. You're just blanketing, your market and do these broadcast media, broadcast marketing. Broadcast marketing, when you use broadcast marketing, it's best if you have vanity numbers, such as 1-800-SELL-NOW, 1-800-NO-AGENT. When I used to spend in the prime time real estate, I used to spend over $10,000 a month running TV advertising with 1-800-NO-AGENT, and we were doing really well until a lot more people got, started doing it, and then so our advertising costs, our cost per deal ended up to be a lot higher than I wanted it to, so I stopped doing it. But for a while there, for about a year, I was doing a lot of TV advertising. And the thing I don't like about TV, though, like here in Houston, we're a pretty big city. And the TV broadcast goes to the entire Houston Metroplex. And that could mean, like, from one end of the city to the next, that's like an hour and a half, 2 hours drive, okay? And so what I didn't like about it was the fact that it was just all over the city, and I didn't get to concentrate on a specific area. After I have been doing this for a while, now, I focus mainly on the southwest part of Houston only. Sometimes I'll go to the northwest Houston, but I focus primarily on southwest Houston. But back then, I wanted to do as many deals as I can. I was all about the volume, and so I was just advertising everywhere in Houston to find deals. Nowadays, I'm a lot more picky because I don't care to do volume anymore. I focus on quality of the deals and convenience, and so it's so things have changed. And so when you do things like TV and radio, you can expect that to happen. That it's just all over the place. Okay, and I know that home investors, and I have several home friends that have home investor franchise, and they said that when you do these things in combination, like when I did it, I just did TV alone. But if you notice with home investors, if you have one in your area, you see a lot of billboards. And so they said that the TV and the billboards together has a really big impact And so, because they watch TV, and then as they drive, they see the billboard. It keeps their retention rate much higher, I guess, or not retention rate, but what do you call it? Absorption rate of those ads, of the signs, and people end up to remember the phone number better, remember the ads better, and so end up calling them. And so, so that's that's another thing you might want to consider, depending on your area. Like if you have if you're in a small town, then doing TV and billboards would be much easier for you, and you probably don't even have any competition. And like here for me in Houston, there's a lot of competition on TV, and so TV for us now is pretty expensive. It's not as effective anymore, and so I stopped doing it. But for billboards, you don't have to go after what, like home bashers, they do their billboards all around town. You don't have to go to the big billboards. You can focus in your a specific neighborhood, and you can even create your own billboards if there's not already one. Like if you go to a corner store, like a convenience store, and says, hey, is it okay if I put out my sign, and I'll pay you, $30 a month or $50 a month to put my sign out. So you can create your own billboards with convenience store, with lots that, like corner lots that are privately owned. You can negotiate those kind of deals and create your own billboards. You don't have to be out there buying billboards. Okay, you certainly can. I mean, depending on the area, billboards can cost a lot of money or can cost a little bit of money. And if you put in a highway, what I did, instead of having billboards, what I did was I rented an office space that was on the side of the on the feeder road of Highway 59, which is Freeway 59, which is a main freeway. And so what I did was I rented that office space. So I had a big sign that's when people are driving on the freeway, they can see my sign. And so then I named my company All Cash Home Buyers. We had our phone number and our website. And so instead of having a billboard, what ended up happening for us is we were getting leads from our store sign or from our office sign because we were on the feeder road. Now, of course, that costs us more money to be on the feeder road, but I figure, well, instead of paying for billboards, and this is a main highway, gets a lot of traffic, and so and so I was willing to take that risk, and it worked. The first deal that we got from it paid for my office for the entire year, and so what's the big deal, right? Because your dollar, your profit per deal in real estate is pretty high, and so it's worth it that you can do strategies like that. Of course, you're kind of limited because I don't know how many office space you can find that's on the side of the on the freeway that people can see your signs like that. I just have so that's what I was on the lookout for. And once you start paying attention to what I'm talking about, you're going to start to see. Here in Houston we can have those kind of signs. I don't know about other, because I know some other cities that's not very easy to do. But as you drive on the freeway, if you have a busy freeway, drive on there and pay attention for signs that are blank, because if they're blank, chances are that there's nobody, there's no business there, or that it's a sign that you can rent for rather inexpensively. So it doesn't have to be billboards. It could just be like storefront signs that's high enough, and as people driving on the freeway, you can see that. So you can contact them and rent out those signs as well. So that's also work. Doing the signs costs some money, of course. I forgot how much it cost us, but a couple $1,000 or something like that for one of those signs. But it's a long-term investment. If you're in it for the long haul, it's worth it to do things like that. I've never tried radio before, but I know Ron LeGrand is a big, big, radio fan, I guess, of generating real estate leads from the radio. And it's just one of the areas that I've never looked into. I've never tried that, but I know that some people have tried that. For me, I was just studying after what home investors were doing, and I copy what they do and implement some of the things that they do, because they spend a ton of money every single month, and so they already tested the market for me. So wherever wherever they advertise is where I go and advertise, and so I was getting a lot of the leads. And that's a good way for you to do it too. Pay attention for the top dogs in your area, right? The top investment companies in your area, and find out where they are advertising, because chances are they're spending thousands of dollars every month. They're spending thousands of dollars. Like for me, I was spending over $15,000 a month in my business in advertising. And so, if you wanted to duplicate my success, you just advertise where I was advertising, and that will help you drastically, because wherever we advertise that didn't generate the income that we want, our dollar per deal is too high, we would stop advertising there. And so the places where you see me advertise over and over and over again, that's proven. That like for me, my gauge was, if it was costing me $2,000 a deal or less, I would keep it. If it cost me more than $2,000 a deal, I would drop it. I dropped TV when it got to $3,000 per deal. Okay, and so you have to track these numbers. You have to track, how much it's costing you in advertising to get a deal done. Cost per deal is much more important to track than cost per lead, because depending on the type of advertising that you do, you might have more leads or you might have less leads. And so cost per lead is not as great of a tracking tool, but cost per deal is a really tracking tool that you have to implement if you're going to do these type of marketing, okay? These massive marketing. Yellow pages. Yellow pages are kind of dead because of the internet, because of Google, and so I know there's people still advertising in the yellow pages now, but man, I can't even remember the last time that I opened up the yellow page. Right? I got it recently, and the first thing I did was I threw it in the trash, because I know for sure I'll never open it. And so I think that very few people are still opening yellow pages. There still are, especially your more elderly sellers. They're still using the yellow pages because maybe they don't have access to a computer, don't know how to use a computer, and so I know people are still advertising yellow pages. That means that they're still getting deals from it. It's just that I know it's nothing like what it used to be. Okay, and so but like I said, there's still sellers out there. There's still sellers out there. Advertising. I mean, there's still sellers out there that don't want to use the internet and still look in the yellow pages. Okay, newspaper ads. Depending on your area, newspaper ads is another one of those things that's kind of dead too, especially your major newspapers. Well, I know for sure here in Houston, our Houston Chronicle is as dead as can be. We used to open up the newspapers, and you would see a lot of classified ads. Nowadays, you open it up, and there's only a few of them. And I remember we used to see like 10, 20 we buy houses type ads on there. Now there's like, I don't know if there's any. If there is any, it's probably just like one. Okay, it's because people are searching online now on Craigslist, Backpage, websites like that. And so they're not using the newspaper classified ads much anymore, because online you can do your search. You don't have to browse through every single ad. And so, so the daily major is, it's not that great. However, the weekly newspapers like Green Sheet and 50 Nickels and Penny Savers, they're still working really well. I don't know if you heard the interview that I did with Oscar Berlanga, but this is how he's getting a lot of his deals, is from the 50 nickel, is because the type of sellers who are responding to that, they don't like to use the internet, or they don't know how to use the internet, and they are some of the easiest sellers to deal with. He says, you can very much negotiate your way through anything, and what he does is he runs many different ads in the same 50 nickels all around town in different sections, the for rent section, for sale section. So he doesn't just run in one different section, but he runs different ads. Some of them are displayed ads, some of them are just text ads, and so some are image ads, some are text ads, and so he just runs whatever areas and whatever categories he can run in his 50 nickel, and he's getting great response out of that. And he said that the deals that he's getting out of 50 nickels is has a lot of equity, and he's getting them really cheap, where his average profit per deal from his 50 nickels is like $20,000 wholesale. Okay, and so that's something that you want to do. I know that whenever I run green sheet ads, I get a lot of calls. They're not they're not necessarily like quality calls. I get a lot of calls, and you have to weed through a lot of a lot of stuff to get it. But I know for sure it's still working. One of my one of my students, Ray Magnuson, still uses the green sheet. He's still advertising in the green sheet to find sellers as well. So I know that's also working not only where Oscar is, which is in Lubbock, but here in Houston, it's also worked. So, and running in these weekly newspapers, they're fairly cheap, and so I think that it's worth for you to do that. It's worth for you to to run ads in those areas, okay? And so just contact your local newspapers. Depending on your area, it's probably somewhere between like $5 to $20 an ad. And so, for $100, you can have several ads going, especially if you're just using text ads. So give it a try, okay? Now, if you do run newspaper ads, try your best to commit to at least a 6-month period. This is one of those type of advertising that it's sort of hit and miss. So if you're just running it for 30 days, and it's possible that you go for 30 days and you get no deals. It's one of those things where you can go for 3 months and don't have a deal, and then on the 4th month you get a deal. So if you're going to run newspaper ads, just make sure you run it for at least 6 months. Just commit to it for 6 months. But it might take you longer to get a deal, but once you have a deal, man, it pays for like years and years worth of newspaper ads. And so it's worth it. Your cost per deal with newspaper ads is pretty low. So I definitely would recommend for you to do that. All right. I'm not sure why I put auctions here. Probably for buyers. So I'm gonna move this here. Well, you know what? I know why. We'll talk about auctions for buyers too, but auction for sellers. Yeah, I know why I put it on there now. Two of the guys that I interview was Bruce Willett and Chris Amon, and they're buying a ton of houses from the auctions. And I know that I was emailing back and forth with my friend Nathan Jerwicks and Chris McLaughlin, and they're buying a lot from the auction as well. Jeff Adams is buying a lot from the auction as well. In today's market, the auction is one of the best areas to buy properties. It's because you don't have to deal with short sales, and and you don't have to compete with all of the buyers on the MLS after it gets foreclosed on. So these guys are now buying houses from the straight from the auction. I know Chris Amon is buying like 5 houses a day from the auction a day. He's in Phoenix, Arizona, and they have daily auctions. For me here in Houston, we have monthly auctions, and so we can't do it daily, but we certainly can go down there and bid monthly. And surprisingly, the auctions today is not nearly as competitive as it used to be when the real estate market was hot. I mean, when the real estate market was hot, when I go down to the auction, there's like over 2,000 buyers down there. It's crazy number. It's so crowded. It's not like that anymore. The only buyers that are down there now, they're very serious buyers, and of course, those buyers have cash. And so, so wherever your area is, you might want to look into auction and definitely listen to the interview I did with Chris Amon, right, on how he goes about buying, 5 houses a day at the auction, right? And all he does is he wholesales them, and so he's about volume. I think in this year, 2010 here, man, I don't remember how many he bought. But it's a lot. It's a lot of houses. I think it's like 140 houses or something like that. Or is that, no, more than that. I forgot, but it's a lot. It's a lot of houses, and so it's definitely a really good interview to learn. And Chris is someone who, who in 2008, 2007 was when the market crashed, and of course it carries on. But by 2008, he lost like, I think close to $40 million. He lost like over $37 million. Because of the market crash. And now he's back on his feet again. He talks about going from a $30,000 a month living expense down to now it's like $3,000 a month living expense. He cuts a lot, but when the market was good, he was making a lot of money, right? He was making a lot of money, but he also lost a lot of money. He was also doing hard money lending, lost a ton of money, and so it's one of the best interviews that we have. Just listening to how he overcome all of that. For most people, I think if they lose that much money, they probably shrink into a hole and hide out somewhere. Maybe join some homeless shelter or something and never come back out again. But it's amazing how he survived through that, and now he's thriving. I mean, buying 5 houses, buying 5 houses a day at the auction. It's pretty awesome. And his primary focus is just on auction. So so definitely make sure you guys watch that interview. Okay, it should be already in this link here, studios.com/FTFC replay if you haven't already seen it. Okay. All right, so let's talk about some other ways that you can find deals. Business cards is a great way as well. Make sure you put a referral fee on your business cards. And that's what I did was this. I went on Google and I searched for a $100 bill, and then I told a printer to print the $100 bill onto a business card for me. So it's like it's a long business card. So when you fold it up, it looks like it looks like a $100 bill. But I only used half of that $100 bill. So so when you fold it up, right, on one side it looks just like a $100 bill. On the other side, it has my contact information. So it has my company's name, contact information. When you open up the $100 bill, it talks about how we buy houses and how we pay referral. How we pay $1,000 referral, if they refer us a seller, and then we pay $500 referral if they refer us a buyer. And so, so don't use a normal, boring business cards. Do something unique, do something fun. There are companies out there that will print these $100 bill credit, business cards for you, and you can go on Google and search that. Or you can, like I said, do what I did, which is just went online, find a $100 bill image, and then tell a printer to print it for me, to print it how I wanted it. And my business cards got a lot of attention. I don't know how many deals we got from it. I never tracked it to that, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure we got some deals and some referrals from it, and so so make good use of that. Estate sales is also another way that you can find deals as well. As you go through your do your driving for dollars, or if you have a neighborhood you farm in, or if you have a property that you are selling, make sure you pay attention, for estate sale signs, for estate sale sign, because there's a high chance that those people are very motivated, and they'll be interested in selling their house, and so as you're driving your neighborhood, just pay attention, okay? As you're driving your neighborhood, just make sure you pay attention for those signs. Garage sale signs. A lot of time people have garage sales is because they're trying to raise some quick money, right? And if they're not tenants, assuming they're not renting the house, if they own the house and they have a garage sale, there's a high chance that they might consider selling the house. They're trying to raise some money, especially in today's market, right? And so so stop by the garage sales, give them your business card, and even if they're not interested in selling it now, they'll have your contact information. So when they are ready to sell it, that you're the first person that they'll be contacting, okay? Because you're already farming that neighborhood anyways. And if it's in the neighborhood that you live in, great. Get to know those people. There's a high chance that you'll be able to, that you'll be able to get in front of them, and when they are ready to sell, that they'll contact you. Okay. Your attires, like We Buy Houses T-shirts and shirts. I mean, you're already wearing shirts. You might as well get a tax, get a tax deduction, for your clothes. Okay, by embroidered on a We Buy Houses logo or text, and and get some business that way. Okay, there's I mean, those shirts are pretty inexpensive to make. Like even the T-shirts, I think it'll cost you around, I think, $15-20 or so a shirt to do those kind of things, to have those kind of arts. If you go on Google, there's a lot of different places that will make custom T-shirts. You can do that, and you get to wear those shirts, and you're advertising for your company, and so you can pay yourself for the advertisement, and you get free clothes to wear, and it's all tax deductible. You can have your kids to wear those T-shirts, and you can contribute money to their college fund. Okay, their Coverdale IA Coverdale accounts, and so you can pay your kids. Like I have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. I can contribute to the Coverdale account by doing that now. Okay, so you can do a lot of things with that, and and get deals from there as well. When you go out to eat, right, make sure your shirt is known. When you go out in public, take your kids to the park and stuff like that. People can see your shirt. You build, it's a great way for people to approach you. Imagine if you go to a party, right? You go to a party and you wear those shirts, right? It's a great conversation starter for sure. And so, definitely try that, okay? Next, we're going to talk about referrals. Getting to know all of the people that can refer you deals, either because either they can bring you deals themselves, or they can refer you to other people that can bring you deals. I have a cold, and so I'm going to go through this kind of fast, and we're gonna we're gonna end this webinar a little bit earlier than usual, because I'm having a hard time keeping up here. But where was I? Okay, yeah. Well, referrals. B&I groups is a great group, and we were just talking about this last week. Ron was talking about it last week, how he belongs to a group, and he lets that group know that he's buying bulk REOs. And so there's a lot of business type referral groups around town. The meetup groups is another one. I forgot to put it on here, but it's not just B&I groups, but you join groups like B&I. They're in the business of the sole purpose for the group is to refer each other businesses. And so join a B&I group. Another group that I Rotary Club. Another group that I recently a part of is the Rotary Club, and so join all of these different groups, and people there help each other. Mostly businesses or like leaders, managers, leaders in their companies, managers, CEOs, executives, and so get to know them, meet them, and so they know what is it that you do and how you pay referral fees, so that way they can refer you business. Okay, realtors is another great source of referrals for you. Okay, and so make sure you make good use of that. Okay, when you go after realtors, go after realtors that are active in the area, because if they're active in the area, chances are they have a lot of sellers that are contacting them. But certain sellers, the house is nice and clean, they can list it, but there's a lot of sellers out there who the house is just needs a lot of work. They can't sell it on the MLS. So these realtors can refer you these deals, and can refer you these deals, and you can pay them a commission, depending on the profit that you can get. And so rather than listing it on the MLS, they can just refer it to you and sell it to you directly, since the house needs a lot of work. I'll give you an example. The very first house that I did, I was rehabbing this house, and then the next door neighbor was a realtor. So and so I was talking to that realtor and told the realtor, it's like, hey, I'm in the business of buying and fixing up and selling houses. If you come across any deal that's that you think would make a good fit for an investor like myself, let me know. And sure enough, I think it was about a month after that, she contacted me on a deal. She had it listed on the MLS prior to her contacting me, and she had it listed for $99,000. Okay, and she told me, "Hey Tim, I have this deal. The seller's moving out of state, and they really want to get rid of it. It looks like a deal that would be good for you." So I went and looked at the property. It needed a ton of repairs, And and so I told her, well, the most I can offer for that house is $55,000. And so she said, well, we have another deal for $56,000. So I'll talk to the seller about it. And when she talked to the seller, she asked me, well, how quickly can you close on it? I said I can close within 7 days because I was using hard money, hard money, and I know my hard money lender can close it within 7 days. And so she talked to the seller, and she convinced the seller to sell it to me, because when the seller sells it to me, that agent gets 6% commission, because now she's getting the commission from the seller and getting commission from me. And as a selling agent and as a buying agent, if she takes the other deal, which is $56,000, $1,000 more than my offer, then she would only get 3% from the seller. So she convinced the seller. She convinced the seller to sell the property to me because I have a relationship with her. And she told the seller, like, I know he's a real deal because he bought the house right next door to me. He closed on it. He's fixing it up. And so because of that, I got the deal, and made good money off of that deal. And so find the realtors in your market area, whichever market that you're farming in. Right? Whichever market area that you're farming in, find those realtors. Let them know that you're an investor. You're out here buying houses that needs a lot of work, a lot of fix up, because you can fix them up and you can resell them. And so let them know what you do. And whenever they come across a deal that needs a lot of repairs, and even if, like in my case, right, they listed for $99,000. I mean, she's kind of crazy. I mean, nobody in their right mind is going to buy it for $99,000. I don't even know why she listed it for that kind of money. And so don't be afraid to make a really low offer, because you tell them this is how it was. This is how I make my money. I have to fix it up. I have to, I have to fix it up, and I have to take off the risk. And so, I can't buy it at retail. And so, just be willing to make them an offer, even if it's in my case, what I offer them 55% of what they listed it for. Okay, and it doesn't matter. It's okay, because the house needed a lot of repairs, and the seller knows that, and the agent knows that. And so just make them an offer. Attorneys is also another great referral source for you, especially probate attorneys. And so, if you know any probate attorney, make sure you get to know them well and let them know, hey, when I'm a real estate investor, I buy houses, and if you come across any seller who needs to sell the house quickly, please let me know. All right, so find out where probate attorneys hang out, network with each other, go and network with them, get to know them. Okay, same thing with bankruptcy attorneys. Let bankruptcy attorney know that that you work with a lot of sellers who are going through foreclosure, and you would be willing to refer them sellers that might be interested in filing for bankruptcy. And in exchange, any of the sellers that they can't help or that got kicked out of bankruptcy and need to get rid of the house, get the house sold quickly, for them to refer to you. And so that becomes a bi-directional, right, a reciprocal relationship, where you referring them sellers that you refer them sellers that are going that might consider filing for bankruptcy, and they refer you sellers that need to sell the house because they got kicked out of a bankruptcy, or part of the bankruptcy they're required to get rid of the house. And so it's a win-win situation. And so probate attorneys and bankruptcy attorneys are the two best type of attorneys for you to focus in on. Okay. Of course, real estate attorneys are okay too. For me, my real estate attorneys has been a great source of buyer and lenders for me. They normally have clients that are interested in buying properties, and so I sell properties to them. I wholesale houses to them, and they also have clients that that lend money on real estate, and so that's for my real estate attorneys, that's what I have been doing. I haven't bought any properties from my real estate attorneys yet, but I have been selling properties to them or their clients, and I have been borrowing money from them or their clients. And so real estate attorneys is good for buyer side. CPAs is another great source for both private money as well as buyers for your deals as well. Okay, they're also good for for sellers as well. They're not as good for sellers as they are for buyers, unless unless it's like a CPA that works with works with more higher end clientele, those like luxury homes type of sellers, then I think CPAs might work really well for those guys, because those kind of guys, their business goes up and down, and so they when the business is down, they might be in a position to sell their properties. So CPAs is another great source for you to network with. But CPAs are like among the best resource for private money. All right, and so definitely get to know them, and let them know what is it that you do. Okay. Let me see here. Richard asked, did you settle on $55,000? The answer is yes. I did. I ended up buying the property for $55,000. I think I spent about $18,000 in repairs on it. I sold it in one weekend by auctioning off the house, and I sold it for $114,900, and I paid for the buyer's closing costs, and so it ended up to be a really good deal. It needed a lot of it. I think on that house I went through like several, like 2 different sets of contractors to get that property done, and there's a whole story behind that. I mean, I hired an inspector, inspected that house, and he got into a fight with his girlfriend on that day, and he didn't do a good job for his inspection. And it cost me like $5,500, or like $5,000 or something like that, of plumbing issues. The plumbing was leaking all around the house, and he didn't know that it was a plumbing leak. He thought it was an AC leak, and that was a pretty big mistake. I have a lot of stories on a lot of my houses, actually. I can buy a whole book on all of the stories and all of the trials and errors that I've gone through in all of these different houses. But the cool thing about real estate is that your profit margin on a lot of these deals, if you buy them right, is really high. And so even though you make mistakes, okay, even though you made mistakes, it still end up to be profitable in most cases. I have lost money on deals before, so don't I had a deal where I lost, I don't know, I probably lost $20,000 or something on the deal because it just took me too long to sell it. I bought it wrong. I bought it too high because it was a subject to deal, and so I thought, since I don't have to pay money, like I don't have any cost for hard money and stuff, I can buy it higher. So I bought it higher, and the house needed more repairs than I thought, and it took longer to sell. And so I ended up losing a lot of money on that deal. But, overall, thank goodness I made more, I made more money than I lost. And so that's the cool thing about you guys learning from me, is that you don't have to go through the same errors that I've gone through, and you don't have to make the same mistakes. And and so and so that's why you should always make good use out of getting my help. Whenever you have a deal, whenever you're working on the deal, especially if you're not going to wholesale them, especially if you're going to rehab it or you're going to keep it as rental, make sure you contact me and let me know about your deal so I can help you pre-qualify those, help you analyze that deal before you get into it, and and so you don't lose money. Okay, Carlos said, by the way, I just got a buyer earnest money on a deal I've been marketing. Title work is pending. Good job, Carlos. Congratulations, buddy. Good for you. Good job. All right. Ron said, when buying a house at the auction, you have to pay cash right away, don't you? The answer is yes, Ron. In most areas, you do have to pay cash right away, and so you have to have private lenders or cash buyers lined up ahead of time. You see, a lot of cash buyers, they don't know how, and they don't want to go through the trouble of doing their due diligence on these auction deals, and so you market yourself as the auction expert, and you do all of your due diligence, and then you let them know, like, hey, I have 3 possible deals that you can buy, and so I will go down to the auction and I will bid on it for you, and you just pay me a fee for doing that. Okay, yeah. I was talking to Nate and. I was talking to Chris McLaughlin, and because Chris buys a lot of houses from the auction, and the guy that's the guy that buys houses for him at the auction makes over $20,000 a month doing just that, because Chris doesn't care to go down to the auction to buy it himself. He doesn't care to do all of the legwork, and so he has a guy that does the legwork for him, goes to the auction, buy it for him. And he pays the guy pretty good money. The guy makes over $20,000 a month doing just that. And he does it not just for Chris, but he also does it for other people as well. So yeah, you do need to pay cash, but it doesn't have to be your own cash. You just have to find. And we'll talk about this next week. I'll talk to you how you can find buyers that buy houses at the auction, so you can do that. All right. The other type of people that can also refer you deals are service companies, like landscaping companies, mailman, tour service company, newspaper delivery. This is another great great strategy as well. If you know of a newspaper delivery guy and you give him your flyer, he can insert into his newspaper, so when he's delivering, he can deliver your flyer and the newspaper at the same time. And that strategy has, I haven't done that strategy, but I have friends who have done that, and it's a proven strategy. They get good deals from that, especially if it's an area that you farm. Okay, and so wake up early, catch your newspaper guy, and and have him deliver flyers for you. Okay. Caller said the penny saver guy delivers way more papers. Yeah. Well, here in Houston, they don't deliver penny savers from house to house. They only bring it to the stores. And I guess they can do inserts into those newspapers that they put at the stores too. But the newspaper delivery that I'm talking about is the house-to-house delivery. so that way you can target a specific neighborhood, you target a specific, subdivision. But you certainly can do the penny saver, the 50 nickels, the green sheets that are delivered to the stores as well. You certainly can do that. Okay. Okay. Carlos said in his area, which is in New York, they drop them off on your property. Oh, good to know. So yeah, have those guys pass out flyers for you. Okay. Carpet cleaning guys. Another great great place. A lot of people who cleans their carpets, they're cleaning it because they're getting ready to move. Whether they're renting it or they're moving out, they're trying to sell the properties, and so get to know those guys, and you can open up your green sheets, you can open up your yellow pages, you can, there's a lot of people advertising their carpet cleaning service. Get to know those guys and let them know you pay for a referral fee. So, when they do carpet cleaning on these houses, they can give out your flyer or your business card to those homeowners. And if those homeowners are interested in buying, selling their property, they would be able to contact you. Okay. Yeah, and I know this for a fact because anytime I do carpet cleaning, it's because I'm selling that house. Okay. So so I'm sure a lot of sellers are that same way too. Plumbers, same thing, right? Any kind of handyman type guys out there. It's it's a great they're out there fixing up the houses, and so it's a great way for them to let the homeowners know that you buy houses, and so tap into that. Any kind of service company in your area. I'm sure there's more than this, and so tap into that. Okay. All right. You guys have any questions about what we talked about today? Okay. Ron asked, as I get more activity going, I'm wondering if I should get another phone number instead of my personal number. The answer is yes, but like for me, I use my personal cell phone number for the first 2 years of my business, and so that's fine. I was always on the phone. My wife still makes fun of me about that. I haven't been on the phone for a long time, but it used to be like my phone can literally is attached to my ear. But I do know a lot of people. What they do is they have a personal phone and they have a business phone, so that they have a phone that's only for sellers. So whenever that phone rings, they know for sure it's coming from a seller. And so whatever they're doing, whether they're taking a shower or eating, they would stop and answer that call. And so you certainly can do that. Okay. And I guess nowadays phones are pretty cheap, so it doesn't hurt to do that, to have another phone for that purpose. Renee asked, how do you flip houses that you get from the auction? You have to have the buyers in place already, Renee. You can't, buying houses from the auction is something that you cannot buy. It's too risky for you to buy and then sell it to, and then go find a buyer. So you have to find a buyer first, get the buyer to agree, and the buyer knows that you buying these houses from the auction, okay? And so get the buyers to, to agree that he's going to pay you a fee, and that fee could be, that fee is typically around $2,000 to $3,000, okay? And get the buyer to agree to pay you a fee, and you are going to do the due diligence. You're going to go look at the property, take pictures of it, and go down to the auction and bid it for them. But the buyer is going to provide you with the cashier's checks Okay, the buyer is going to provide you with the cashier's check, so that way, so that way you're using your buyer's money to auction that property. You're not using your own money. Okay, you're just providing it as a service. Think about it's almost like being a realtor, but for auction deals. Okay, and you don't have to be a realtor to do that. That's just a service that you're providing. Janie said, I found a house on the MLS that I may be able to flip, but a realtor is involved. Should I pursue this, or will I lose any profit to the realtor? Depending on the deal, Janie, I mean, if there's a big profit margin, then it's okay that the realtor is involved in it. But if it's a big profit margin, then there's a high chance that a lot of your profit are probably being eaten up by the commission. And so just make sure the offer that you make is cheap enough that your profit, that even with the commission, there's still profit in it for you. Okay. Stephen A. asked, what is the best exit strategy when the seller is in default, but the house is worth $200,000 above the mortgage? What is the best exit strategy when the house is in default? Seller's in default, but the house was worth $200,000. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, the best exit strategy would be to auction off the house. So, yeah, the best strategy is to go ahead and auction off the house. And so get the property under contract from the seller. Let the seller know that you're going to do a marketing event to get the house sold in one weekend. Okay, and then you do it. If you are going to do that, let me know, and I will tell you how to access the training video that I did on that, called How to Sell Any House in 5 Days. Because I used to do a lot of auctions, and that's the best way to get rid of them. But typically, when the seller's in default, well, it depends on how far they are in default. If the auction is already scheduled and coming up, let's say if the auction is within 30 days, then I will postpone the foreclosure first, and then I'll auction off the house. Okay. But I've done that many, many times on pre-foreclosure properties. Janie said, what if they ask for proof of funds? That's fine. If they ask for proof of funds, you can use our proof of funds. Go to DoDealsDayFunding.com, DoDealsDayFunding.com, and get yourself a proof of funds. Ron asked, what's the best way to send out an email to multiple people like my buyers list, but I don't want everyone to see who it goes to? Ron, go sign up for this service called MailChimp.com, M-A-I-L, let me put it here. Email blast, MailChimp.com. Okay, you can sign up for a free account, and you can add up to 1,000 buyers, 1,000 email address on there, and so use that. Okay. MailChimp.com. Got it? It's free for you. Okay. Did I miss anybody's question? Thanks, Richard, for the recommendation there on Tamiflu. I don't have a flu. I have a running nose and sneezing and a sore throat. But I don't have any fever or anything. But I guess cold flu, it might work. I told my wife that I'm going to try to fight this without medicine this time. I want to just go natural. Okay. All right, guys. Well, since there's no more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar for today. Thank you so much for being on this webinar, and you guys have an awesome, awesome Merry Christmas. It's going to be a lot of fun. I hope you guys get to spend a lot of time with your family. I know I'm certainly going to be doing that, and I hope you guys are going to get some presents that you might like. And I look forward to talking to you guys next Tuesday. Okay, next Tuesday is the December 28th, and next Tuesday we're going to be talking about buyers, all the different ways to find buyers. So it's going to be a long webinar next Tuesday, because I'm condensing all of the buyers into just one webinar. So it'll be a good one. All right, y'all. Well, I look forward to talking to you next Tuesday then. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas.